But in my dream as a child, it was a reoccurring nightmare I had. And I was running from a monster or somebody trying to kill me. I couldn't see the monster. I didn't know who it was. It was probably my father. But I was running from somebody who I wanted to hide from. So I ran down these streets, this empty black streets, ran into a house. And in the house, I ran up to, it was an empty house, and I ran into a closet. It was empty, hid in the closet in the corner. And I could hear the big footsteps coming up the stairs and opening each room to try to find me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm dead. And he didn't open the door, but didn't open the closet door and close the closet. And I waited to hear, I remember I could hear like try to hear it, open my ears to every little sound to see if he had left. And then I was like, okay, I think I could run, and I don't want to be stuck in this closet and be found. So I bolted out of the closet, down the steps out of the house, up the street. And I was running so fast, and then all of a sudden I was in a wind tunnel. Like I was like, could barely run. And I was like, ah. And then finally I made it where I was flying through the sky, and I was swimming almost like it was like a breaststroke through the sky. And that's how my hypnosis started. But it wasn't a panic. It was very calm. All right, Pax, you gotta sit. You want to be on my podcast?
This episode has been brought to you by Sliquid Lube, natural intimate products from sliquid.com. Check them out on YouTube at Sliquid Intimate for 6 tips on better oral and all about their flavored lube. Follow Sliquid on Twitter at Sliquid. A big shout out to CEO Dean Elliott on Twitter at Sliquid CEO for giving me 2 different packages of his amazing Sliquid lube. I also love the Sliquid t-shirts and the fun Sliquid stickers. Thanks from everyone at Maxine X Productions.
All right. Doug, thank you so much for coming to my podcast. I'm so excited to talk to you. So, welcome to the podcast, to Diary of Maxine X podcast. And the reason why I call it this is because it's kind of like, it's going to be about, it's like a diary of my life, and it's going to be a diary of it's part of the title for my memoirs, which I'm writing about my life and work. And not only is it just about work, it's going to start in my early childhood where I had issues. And literally, when I was very young, I used to pray to God to like take me away from this earth. Like literally, I don't know why, but at 12 years old, I remember having, as early as 12 years old, having these thoughts. And I didn't want to be on earth. And I was just like, I don't like it here. Like I didn't feel like I belonged. I don't like it here on this earth. Just take me home. Like, I was just like, to God, take me home. And then I had some issues too throughout my high school and my teenage life and my 20s, which I was watching your video today, and you were talking about suicide and how like you saw this meme, you didn't like this meme. And the meme was saying something along the lines like, you can't talk for everybody who's ever tried to or thought about suicide, right? Mm-hmm. And this was an amazing video that you said, because it's fascinating, because you're right. You're totally right. And like, what if it's like their choice that they want to opt out? But what if they're all different versions of what goes on in people's heads, that these memes can't just speak, or the TED Talk can't just speak for other people? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm good now, but I have battled it throughout, since the earliest was when I was 12, and I battled it ever since. And I did attempt it once, and I did just want to just like go to sleep and wake up. I mean, not wake up. And then one day I did it. Took some pills, and then I woke up, and I was like, my first response was like, shit, it didn't work. And then I was like, okay, I gotta get up and go to work. I mean, that's the short version of it, but it was like,
Yeah.
it didn't work. And then when I hear you talk about stuff like that on your blog, on your vlog, I literally was like, that is like, it's amazing how you can just express it or vocalize it.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just gonna paint, but I wanted to kind of talk about something that kind of bothers me a lot about, and it's about suicide. Because I seen this meme the other day, and it's like people who commit or try to commit suicide aren't trying to escape life; they're trying to escape pain. And it kind of pissed me off because how big of an ego do you have to speak on behalf of every single person that's ever tried to kill themselves or has killed themselves? Like, you're speaking on behalf of millions of people. And the person who wrote that must have a really big ego to have that kind of confidence in himself that they can speak on behalf of everybody. Because you don't know why people do that. Everybody's different, right? We're not supposed to generalize, are we? But they did. And I'm not saying that suicide is good or suicide should be taken lightly at all, but I mean, a long time ago, suicide was something that people did for all kinds of different reasons, right? Like, if you were in war and you were captured by the enemy, it was kind of appreciated by your country if you would kill yourself before they tortured you, because they didn't want you to give up any information. Kamikaze pilots would, if they ran out of bullets or something, they would fly into your plane and kill themselves instead of going home, because it was honorable to take out the enemy with, you know, like I'm not a historian or anything, but there's a lot of reasons why people would kill themselves, and sometimes it's because they like to have the feeling of control, that they can go when they want to go, and when life's not enjoyable anymore, it's their choice whether they would like to tap out now or wait until they're old. And maybe they're living because it's fun, and when it's not fun anymore, they want to go.
Can I tell you something? Okay, so when I was going through issues where I started dwelling on the past, my childhood, for 2 years. Like, it was, okay, so depression can go in and out, but I went through a period of time for 2 years where it was constant, and I never talked about it to anybody, but it was during the time where I was at the store, and it was just around when my dad died, and then just after, kind of thing, for the good 2 years. And I was going through things every single time I was going to work, there and back. And I was dwelling on the past, and I was dwelling on guilt, and I was doing all this stuff, right? And it got to this point, I had to tell you the story, because it's like, I was in the store, and it was one of those times that I woke up, and I literally was like, I was in the bathtub, and I didn't want to, I had to go to work. I didn't want to go to work. And I have my own store. I should be super happy. I've accomplished like all these things that people can say, oh, you've accomplished this. I've gotten this far. Da 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 da. But I did not understand why I couldn't be happy. So I would wake up and go, okay, fine. I drag myself to work. And then I turn on this really depressing music that was like sad. And I just kept myself in a sad moment for 2 years straight. And then I went to work, and one day I went to work, I was late, and a lady came in to my store, and she said, I came in here a while ago, but nobody was here. And I was just like, I just turned on the lights. I couldn't find parking. It was one of those moments didn't even have any makeup on. I hate talking to people when I don't have my makeup on. And I was just like, I was in the bathtub. It was one of those just horrible, like, I don't want to talk to anybody. And this woman came in like larger than life coming into my store. And then she was like, oh, you're Maxine. And she's like, everybody told me to come and see you, like larger than life personality. And I was like, oh, okay, hi, nice to meet you. Because I was really kind of like depressed and I was like in a bad, not a good state. And so she's like, I heard that you were in porn. And I was like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't know you. I don't want to talk about it. And then she was like, oh, I love it. I think it's great. And she's like, look at this lingerie. Can you find me lingerie? I want to do this video. Do you know anybody who can take pictures of me? I'm like, no, I just moved here from Toronto. I don't know anybody yet. And I was just like this kind of emotion. And then as I was trying, I was like, can I sell you? Like I was thinking in my head, can I sell you something? Can I sell you a toy? You know? So I'm trying to bring her to the toy section. And then she stopped, she goes, I gotta read you. And she goes, sit down. And then she put me on this like little stool. And I sat down and she went over my head like this. And she goes, I can't even read you because there's just so much going on. I was like, yeah, no shit. I knew there was so much going on for 2 years straight. And then she said, you're a procrastinator. And I was like, started writing my book. And I was like, and I have been procrastinating for 2 years writing my book. And I was like, yeah, tell me something I don't know, psychic, right? And then so I was just laughing and I just got up and I was still trying to sell her a toy. Look at this pink toy. This is my very favorite toy. And then she goes, your mother is here. And I said, who? What? I was adopted. My mother is still alive. And I was like, what are you talking about? My mother is still alive. And I was adopted when I was an infant. So although I was adopted, I didn't think about my past in the sense like, oh, I want to go find my mother. No, I didn't. Not like you hear in some movies. I just grew up. My family is my family. My mother is my mother, whatever. And then she goes, no, your birth mother. And I was like, holy shit. Like, who is this lady? I had never met her before. And she started talking to me. And she says, your mother told me to come back. I started walking to your store and she was making me come to your store. And then it was closed because you weren't there. And then when I was walking away, she told me I have to come back. She's the one who made me come back here. And I was like freaked out. I was like, what? And she says, all of a sudden she said, my daughter's been through a lot. She survived a lot. And I just want to tell her I'm really proud of her. And I was like, fuck off. And she goes, her father was like a nightmare. And I was like, okay, first of all, I was like, oh, okay, I wouldn't describe it that way, but I could see from somebody from the outside might say that. So I was like, okay, I'll buy that. And then she said stuff like, when she died and you were adopted, because I was found in a bombed village, like in Cambodia, the bombs were falling. And there was only 2 survivors. Like after the bomb started falling, childcare workers would go in and try to find survivors. And first the Australian childcare worker found me, brought me to the Canadian orphanage called the Canada House. And so she found me, and there was only 2 others. Me and another baby were the only survivors. So we were brought to this orphanage. And she said that your mother was with you the entire time, like her soul, until you got out of the country, until you were safely out of the country. Now, it was war everywhere, so bombs are falling. So when they had the only way out, the Khmer Rouge, the Marxists were coming. And so they were already known for being brutal and killing a lot of people, and especially in the villages. And so what happened is, everybody was told, all the Westerners were told to get out of the country as fast as possible because the country is going to be taken over. It was going to fall.
The 30-year Vietnam War appears finally to be drawing to a close. It seems clear that all military efforts, like these of the past years, by both the United States and the South Vietnamese, have failed to stop the advance on Saigon of the North Vietnamese communists. All Westerners have been told to leave.
That the United States had secretly intensified the war to include neighboring Cambodia. That meant thousands more children at risk, but no one was there to help. She felt she ought to go.
In spite of official denials, there are now confirmed reports that the United States secretly ordered B-52 bombing raids on Cambodia. 15,000 U.S. troops are attacking communist border zones. To add to the chaos, an extreme Marxist group, the Khmer Rouge, has emerged in the countryside. There are an estimated 200,000 refugees.
Very little was known about Cambodia because, of course, America was not supposed to be in Cambodia.
She turned the house into an orphanage and called it Canada House. As the fighting intensified and the brutal Khmer Rouge advanced from the countryside, it was soon full of malnourished babies.
At that time, nobody really knew what was going to happen.
What happened was the death of a nation. The educated classes were forced from the capital to die in the killing fields. The tiny orphans in Naomi Bronstein's care were to escape the genocide of an estimated 1 million people, 1/4 of the population. There was only one way out, back to Vietnam. An American Air Force plane flew them under fire to Saigon. There the situation was just as bad. Almost as soon as they arrived, they were ordered once again to evacuate. She did bring the 65 Cambodian babies to their new lives with adoptive parents in Canada. They'd been saved from genocide and from a plane crash.
And I was supposed to be on that plane. So I survived a bomb in Cambodia with another baby who survived. And I survived malnutrition. So in 1974, there was a mass famine in Cambodia. So I survived malnutrition, a plane crash, escaped the plane crash, escaped the Khmer Rouge, which was like going to took over the entire country for 4 years. And then I got to Cambodia. And she said in this, like, I didn't really think about it growing up, honestly. I just grew up with my family. It wasn't until I started writing my memoirs about my work in my life that I said, okay, I'm going to include the chapter of my adoption. So I decided doing research, and I started doing research on Cambodia. And I didn't do it. I didn't even look up Cambodia until this psychic came into my store and started telling me about my mother. I never even thought about it. Everybody else said, do you want to go back to Cambodia? I'm like, what do I want to go back to Cambodia for? It's like a foreign country to me. I'm Canadian. So my point is like, there are things we don't know in this world. And this woman who was a stranger should not know any of this. Should not know any of the stuff that came out of her mouth. And then and there was more too. There was like literally, in my store, you know how I had the big booby mannequins? Mm-hmm. So the funny thing is, this big booby mannequin, when this lady walked in, it was dressed all in white with some angel wings. You've seen it, the rabbit. I had the rabbit ears, and it was around Easter time. And she goes, when did you change that mannequin? And I said, yesterday. Why? She goes, that's the influence of your mother. Do you know what the mannequin was the day before that? You can guess. It was all fetish. It was the exact opposite. That's how extreme it was. The mannequin was dressed. I dressed it in full on dominatrix look with leather. I had the mannequin with a whip. And it had this little thing, and it was like totally a dominatrix theme. And then the next day I changed it to pure white, exact opposite. And I had rabbit ears, angel rings, and like these little baskets for spring. And she goes, your mother influenced you to change it. How fucked up is that? I was like, that is so weird. Of course she made me change it from the dominatrix theme. And it was so opposite, and it was like crazy. And then she says, you see that color toy that you keep pointing me to? It was fuchsia. It was a pink. It's my favorite. It was my favorite color. Still my favorite color. And she goes, that's your mother's influence. You buy a lot of things like that, don't you? And I said, yes. And I showed her my phone. Everything was fuchsia. Everything was pink. And then she says, she looked around the room and she said, see all those pictures of you? And, there are the porn pictures of me dressed in like almost nothing. And she goes, none of that is you. And I said, and at that moment, I almost started bawling my eyes up, because I said, that was one of my times that I felt like very, very lost. And I literally said, then who am I? I don't know who I am. I've been looking for who I am my entire life. And she said, I see you talking on a stage to young people, and you're going to be an inspirational speaker. And I was like, what the fuck? I don't even like young people. Just kidding. At the time, teenagers were driving me nuts. I was like, oh my God. But I was like, really? What? And then she said, before she left, she said to me, you're going to have to do something with the energy that you have inside you. Because I see you having health issues, like a heart issues. And I have very bad asthma. So heart and lungs go together. She says, you need to learn how to meditate. You need to get therapy. You need to go work out. And it wasn't until she came into my store that I went to go get therapy. I saw a medium, a psychic medium, and I started working out. Like, seriously. And but I knew that she was right, because my heart, my breathing was very, very stiff, very, like it was hard to breathe, like something was always on my chest. You know that feeling? And I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And then I opened up my laptop and I started typing and I started working on my book. And I wrote right after she left, I wrote that experience in my book. It's going to be a part of my book. And what I'm trying to tell you is there are things that are more bigger than we know. And you have something too. And you may not feel like connected to this earth. And that's fine, because if you were, you wouldn't be you. You would be a boring office person. You're not. You're an artist. And you can't create the art that you create without being unique or different or thinking different or feeling different, and maybe throughout entire history, every artist has felt something along the lines that you felt, but maybe that's why you're able to create such amazing art.
Yeah, I have to think about
and
that.
then maybe you're going to help people, is what I'm saying. So I believe that we all have a purpose on this earth. It may not feel like we do, but we all do. And the question is, so I was in my car and I was driving home, and it was another day, and I was still the same kind of emotion during the same period of time. And this guy really, really pissed me off at the store. He was rude. He was very rude, and like kind of perverted and rude and saying rude things to me because of my business, right? And I went in my car and I started crying, and I said, what the fuck? Like, why do I always have to deal with these fucking assholes? Like, why is that my theme? Like, I have to run into fucking perverts and assholes through my entire life? And you know what I heard? Honestly, it was not me. I heard in my head, because you hadn't learned your lesson yet. And I stopped and I go, that's not me. Because one, it was very calm. And it was almost like my thought, but it wasn't me. And it was the first time I heard an answer of a question that I was asking. And I've asked a question my entire life. And then I said, what is my lesson? Anyways, I didn't find out until later. But just recently when I was in Canada, I was talking to you. I was in Canada, and my friend Andrea, my best friend, her sister does past life hypnosis. And she hadn't done it in a while because of COVID and all that stuff, and she was nervous to do it. And her sister said, can we do one on her, because she really needs it. I was not myself. When I came to Windsor and I came to Canada, and I saw I had to stay at my mom's for like 2 months, and that's not healthy for me. I don't think that's healthy for me, because literally she brought up the past. Like, she brought up dad, she brought up things, and I was like, I called my husband crying that night. And then so it was stuck on me. And then I went to Andrea's and I'm like, I'm not myself. I don't feel like myself. And she got her sister to do a past life hypnosis on me. If you ever want to do it, just tell me, because Andrea's in Windsor or outside of Windsor. And it was maybe about 2 hours. And so we went and I laid on her bed and I felt like Andrea's hands were on my feet. She's a Reiki master. She's also a hairdresser, but she's also a Reiki master. So she held my feet and I could feel her hands on my feet. And it was very comforting. And then her sister was counting me down to the point where I was in Andrea's hammock in her backyard. Imagine yourself in Andrea's hammock, or imagine going out of her patio, her house, and then you're going in her hammock, and then you're relaxing, you're hanging out with your friend, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? Just to rush it. You step off the hammock, you put your feet onto the grass on the ground. Where do you see yourself? And she expected me to say I was going to be in a scene, like somewhere in the past, somewhere, whatever, or in another past life. Where was it? I was flying. I was flying through the clouds, like it was bright light. And the funny thing is I used to have recurring dreams of that when I was a child. So it was crazy. So I was flying through these clouds, and she was like, "That's amazing." And I was like, and then I saw this rooftops. I started coming down a bit to a town or a area, a neighborhood, and there was rooftops I could see. And I literally had a dream of this as a reoccurring dream, but in my dream as a childhood, it was a nightmare. So I was in this night. It was a dream. It was calming when I went in my hypnosis, but in my dream as a child, it was a reoccurring nightmare I had, and I was running from a monster or somebody trying to kill me. I couldn't see the monster. I didn't know who it was. It was probably my father, but I was running from somebody who I wanted to hide from. So I ran down these streets, these empty black streets, ran into a house. And in the house, I ran up to, it was an empty house, and I ran into a closet. It was empty, hid in the closet in the corner. And I could hear the big footsteps coming up the stairs and opening each room to try to find me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm dead. And he didn't open the door, but didn't open the closet door and close the closet. And I waited to hear, I remember I could hear try to hear it, open my ears to every little sound to see if he had left. And then I was like, okay, I think I could run, and I don't want to be stuck in this closet and be found. So I bolted out of the closet, down the steps of the house, out of the house, up the street. And I was running so fast, and then all of a sudden I was in a wind tunnel. Could barely run. And I was like, ah. And then finally I made it where I was flying through the sky, and I was swimming almost like it was like a breaststroke through the sky. And that's how my hypnosis started. But it wasn't a panic. It was very calm. It was totally different, but it was very similar. And then after I saw that, so I knew that it was connecting, and it went into different things. Like I went into different past lives. One past life, I was a young gay guy who was murdered, and I used to work with the elephants and just like cleaning the hay. And somebody who just hated me for the passion, ended up killing me. He worked at the same circus that I did, and boom, and it hit me over the head. And I remember in a second, like an instant, I stood over my body, just like we were talking about. I stood over my body like this, and I saw the dead body on the ground. I saw the man who did it, and I had no emotion attached to it, and that was it. And then there were some other stories, like where I worked for a king in the Middle and Dark Ages, right? And I was on a horse, and I was talking to somebody who was a higher up. And basically I got promoted. But then when I got promoted, I ended up riding the horses, and we ended up riding down and burning down villages because they were the enemies of the king. And then I remember feeling, I don't like this job. This is not a good job. And the funny thing is I was born in a bombed village that was burned down. Like, how crazy is all this stuff?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to open your eyes, because I think there's something more to you than meets the eye.
That's crazy.
If you ever want to get a hypnosis, tell me and I'll set it up for you.
I spend so much time trying not to know anything.
Yes, but you know what? What if there is a reason? There's a reason for why you're on this earth, first of all, why you have such an amazing gift, your art, and why are you able to articulate what most people couldn't articulate in your situation? Have you ever thought of that?
No, I really don't give a lot of thought to deep thoughts and things like that. I'm more of a daydreamer.
What sign are you?
Sagittarius.
Okay, you're the same sign, I think, as Letitia. Remember Letitia, who worked at my store?
I think, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, very tall.
Yeah, I remember
talk
her.
to her all the time I talk to her on Facebook all the time.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, I get along with her really well. And of course, we both like the paranormal, so we talk about it all the time. You're the same sign as her, but I don't really know too much about Sagittarius. I'm a Scorpio, Heather. And Scorpios, one, they love traveling down the taboo and the dark. Like, guess what my tarot card is? My tarot card is the death card.
Is it really?
Yeah, I love it. I love it because one, the death card isn't as scary as what people think it is. The death card is transformation. It's big transformation, but it's transformation. And on top of it, Scorpios are a lot darker than they look. I like to delve into the dark side. That's why I like you, probably.
I don't know how to accept that.
Well, I'm unusual, so we're both unusual and we get along.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything you want to share, Doug?
Oh, I know what I could tell you. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore.
Oh, good. How did you quit?
It's a pill called Wellbutrin. It's an antidepressant.
And it worked?
Yeah, I just started taking this antidepressant that they gave me, and I made my cigarettes I didn't want to smoke them.
That's interesting. Is that part of it, or was it just happen?
It just happens. Like,
Wow.
I think it happens to people sometimes, but
Okay.
I happen to be one of the people. But in the last 2 years, I've quit everything.
Wow. Good for you. That's
I
not easy.
drink maybe once every 2 months. I have a couple drinks with Tab.
Okay. Good for you. Well,
Yeah.
you're very good at that stuff. Like, honestly, like, it was not easy. That can't be easy. Especially with your past, it can't be easy. I quit smoking. It was really hard. I literally went into it kind of depression. And when I went to the doctor says, you went cold turkey. Don't go cold turkey. And he gave me like Nicorette. He goes, you need to take Nicorette or the patch or something. And that helped. But
I don't drink coffee anymore.
Really?
I can't have caffeine anymore. My worker took me off of it because of my anxiety.
Okay. And that must have helped, right?
Yeah. And know what else I can't do? I can't watch horror movies and crime movies anymore.
Oh, no.
I know.
Because I watch it all the time. I love it.
I watch them all the time, but nowadays I have to watch just comedies and family shows. All I can watch.
Look, I don't watch it. I don't watch it all the time either. And I can tell it can give people anxiety. Like, oh yeah, for sure.
It sucks though, like, because all I want to do is watch the other movies, right?
I like that stuff. I don't watch it all the time either, but I like it.
Like, that Tabitha takes care of me a lot, right?
Yeah.
So
you're lucky.
I'll message her. Yeah, I'll send her a message going, "Can I watch this show?" And she'll say, "No, buddy, I'm sorry, you can't." Yeah.
Okay, when I was like working at this hotel, it was like I had to do like I think it was an all-nighter because I had to work all night because I was working room service as well as the restaurant. And the bartender was closing up. And he was just like a nice, like soft-spoken gay guy. And I was like, "Can I watch something on TV?" And he's like, yeah, go ahead. So I put on like my serial killer crime shows, like, and I was so into it. I was literally like this. And then all of a sudden, he was so soft spoken, and all of a sudden he just lost it, and he goes, I can't watch this anymore. You gotta change the channel. And it's like, what are you watching? And it was like my serial killer stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, not everybody likes this.
Yeah, I really like those kind of shows. I've seen so many of them.
Yeah.
Like, I used to have them on all the time, even when I wasn't paying attention. They'd be just playing in the background, right?
Right. Me too.
Yeah. No, nothing. I can't watch any of them anymore.
I even fell asleep to them, and sometimes you dream about it, right? Because you're sleeping, you fall asleep to serial killer stuff, and you would have dreams. So it's crazy.
Yeah,
Probably not a good idea.
They've changed my whole life, though. They've taken things away and said, you gotta stop doing this, stop doing that. But I'm doing the best I've done in years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You seem really good. So whatever it is, it's helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's working.
Great. Well, my husband, like, if I watch too much of those serial killer stuff, he's like, you're sick. I'll, like, walk by and be like, you're sick, puppy, because I get like this.
Do you still watch Ghost Adventures?
I'm addicted to Ghost Adventures. I haven't watched as much as I should because I try to YouTube it because I don't have it on TV here, so I have to YouTube it. And I'm actually, like, I talked to one of the guys from Ghost Adventures, Billy, on my Instagram, right? So I talk to him sometimes, which is so funny, and it's just like, oh, I just watched this episode. It's so good. He's like, it's on right now. They put it off of travel television. It's on Discovery, Disney Plus. So I don't have that. So I just YouTube it, and I just try to watch it whenever I can and catch up. But it's like on the 26th season or something. It's like insane. It's like on a high season or something. It's like 2016. It was like 24 seasons, 24, 26. I don't know, something like that. But I'm like, oh my God, it's been around for so long. I totally watch it. I love it. You know, I met Zach, right, at the AVNs.
Yeah, I know.
Because I was drunk. Hold on a second. I just tell my sister. Hold on a second. Sarah, I'm just on a podcast with my friends. That's my sister. Say hi, my sister.
Hi.
I'm just on a podcast with my friends. Can I call you back?
Yeah, call me back.
Okay, bye.
Don't mind my ghetto kitchen. That's not my kitchen.
The kitchen looks fine. Okay, bye.
Dude, it's like a crack kitchen.
Okay, you're.
Call me back.
Okay, I'll call you back.
I'm okay.
Okay.
See you.
You're in a crack kitchen. Okay, bye. She's so funny. She's like, don't mind my kitchen. I'm in a crack kitchen. I'm like, what? So funny. Anyways, well, we should wrap it up. Okay. But I want to tell you thank you, and maybe we can do it again sometime if you'd like.
Sure. Yeah.
And you tell me when you feel like it, and we can do that, and we can share links and stuff like that, and we can promote each other, and therefore we'll cross promote or something.
Okay.
I don't know. It's fun talking to you anyways.
Okay, sounds good. We'll do that.
Okay, Doug, I love you.
I love you too. I'll see you soon.
And don't forget, we can do this even if we're not recording it. We can do this too. So just let me know if you want to chat, video chat.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for coming to the show.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to stay there. I'm going to just stop recording, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
So if you watch my videos, you know that I had a rough night and a rough day today, and it was challenging. It was a downfall, and I did have a few drinks last night, and I don't really drink, so that didn't really help. But I wanted to say I got to talk to an old friend today on the phone, and she's a really cool artist, and I'm kind of looking forward to having coffee with her soon and stuff, and it changed my whole mood around, and it made me feel really good. And I think it's a good message to tell people with mental illness that sometimes just getting in touch with somebody and being nice and giving them something to look forward to, like another artist, saying, hey, yeah, I really miss you, and I miss you too. Let's go for coffee. Let's talk about art and painting and stuff, and stuff like that. It really changed my whole mood from last night and today, just feeling lonely and out of sorts. And I missed taking my meds, and I shouldn't have had a few drinks last night, but I did. And I did have a lonely day, but everything changed after that phone call. Like, it just made everything better. Oh, there's a mannequin behind me. It's not a... But anyway, I didn't... But, yeah, everything changes. Sometimes just being nice to somebody and giving them something to look forward to. So, I just want to, let everybody know that if you have a friend that has mental illness and they're sad, sometimes just giving them something to look forward to is good enough to change their day. And, and I appreciate that. And so I just wanted to put that out there because it mattered a lot. And now I have something to look forward to all week. So, thank you.